Now, this is a fly on the wall. By the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. These are the clips they put up, not me. 4 out of 5, or 3 out of 4? 3 out of 4 of the clips we've looked at today are them bitching about CNN on the right. Like anybody gives a rat fuck. So, but check this out. Yeah. Magoo. I have, like...
Magoo.
This, right. Look at Gaetz. Straight up looks like he's playing Nixon in a dinner theater show. Gorka doesn't, like, who am I talking to? And Marge has a, like, she's in studio. They're all in studio with him. They just got these weird security cameras put up. By the way, brought to you by Relief Factor, whatever the fuck that is. And excellent, by the way, Gorka, way to show Newsmax how to really fill in a lower third. Really good. There you go. Reps Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene at Rep Matt Gaetz at Rep MTG. And it's just the quality and how it's lined up. I mean, the production value is what I appreciate, Gorka.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them.
Oh, good. All right. So you're gonna throw them in jail and keep them there because they're all FBI agents involved in illegal spying and Antifa and BLM people disguised as Trump supporters attacking the Capitol. So you're gonna treat them fairly. So they're all gonna go to jail for a long time. All right? Yeah. Is that what's happening?
Fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons.
Why are you pardoning Antifa and BLM people and FBI agents that coaxed, good, powerful, beautiful Americans into accidentally taking a shit in the rotunda?
Because they are being treated so unfairly.
Perhaps.
Yes, if they're treated fairly, then by your admission, and these two, obviously have visited them in jail. So they are visiting. I don't know why they're visiting Antifa and BLM people in jail, but that's a Republican thing. They're going to have to deal with it themselves. And by the way, finally, they found a camera angle that makes Gaetz look as creepy as he actually is. She looks like she's giving a deposition in a legal case. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't recall. No, that was my brother's cocaine. The knife was mine. The knife was mine. But that was his cocaine. I don't know where the bullet hole came from. It just appeared in his chest. I screamed. I don't know where the gun came from. You're my lawyer. Aren't you going to object? Right. So, and by the way, they coordinated ties today. Did he forget one and Gorka had one in his drawer or vice versa?
The most controversial clip from the president's rally in Texas, the fate.
No. I think
they
this
drown your endless torment of, what they do. They have an endless list of propaganda and propaganda methods.
That would be the part that I think stood out for most of us, not his bullshit about pardoning them, which he's not going to do. By the way, if you happen to be watching the show because they're giving you internet privileges in the DC jail, you're fucked, buddy. You're fucked. You're not getting out. He's not pardoning you. He never was planning on doing it. He's saying that at his rally so that his dipshit followers will keep giving him money. That's that Save America PAC that he basically sucks cash out of to pay his bills. He needs you to keep flooding that thing with cash. He has no plans on actually pardoning any of these assholes. None. And he could have done it. He could have done it. He didn't. Why? It's not like it was the next day. It wasn't like, Biden got sworn in on the fucking 8th and he was like, can we even write this stuff up in this amount of time? He had a fucking week and a half. He had 2 weeks solid from the 6th that he could have gotten these assholes out. Nope. You staying in jail, son. He's raising money off your head, you dummy.
January 6th, persecuted. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is a very special America First one-on-one because it's...
because with me is a totally distracted and dead inside Marjorie Taylor Greene's like, oh my God, does this have a switch on it that makes it not make noise like the old ones? I never checked.
It's 2-on-1. We're going to turn this into a regular event.
Ew. Ew. He means him and Matt Gaetz on Marge.
We are so delighted to have in studio two people that have given us faith again in the political system, because they're not politicians. They are, in fact, citizens.
Well, hey, I got news for you. If these two assholes stop being politicians, I will have a renewed faith in this. Yeah, hold on one second. This nope. Trying to see if I have. Nope. Crap. Hold on. Checking something. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Nope. Trying to find a. Nope. Okay, never mind. I was trying to find something. I guess we're gonna have to just stick with this one. Hold on. Oh dear God! Why are these people not free? Why are they not free? Free the January 6th people! Oh my God! Okay, you guys, fucking hell! All right.
Who are fighting the swamp creatures. From Florida, none other than Congressman Matt Gaetz, and from
Oh, that's why they're in Florida. I see, because there's swamps. I see.
Georgia, the one. What? Why can't I go by my initials? MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Welcome in studio, both of you.
Thank you. We're so happy to be here.
Yeah, good to be back with you, and we got a lot to discuss.
We have a long list of stuff we've been making here as our plan, as our
Yeah, so much to cover.
for today. Can we start with that clip from the president? You are a handful. Who was it? It was Louis Gohmert, Gosar, yourselves, who actually took the issue of the January 6th prisoners up and tried to get to visit them, refused to leave that D.C. prison until you were let in. Any updates, and please,
Yeah, tell us all about how are the Antifa and BLM rioters that posed as January 6th insurrectionists, who were just there because they were peacefully trying to express their free speech rights while rioting and trying to blame it on Trump.
of the GOP and their relationship to this question.
Well, as it stands right
Right.
now, we're still the only ones that have gone to the jail to actually check and see if the
Oh, and believe me, there's a lot of jail in your future. At least, well, him.
rumors were true, and we
Who
did
did I
find
leave
out.
out? Did I get everybody?
Andy Biggs was
Biggs.
involved,
Sorry,
and,
Biggs.
and Bob Good had
Good,
gone with
Bob
us
Good.
also.
Right.
The Bee Gees,
The Bee
you know, Biggs, and then Gaetz, Green, Gohmert, Gosar, Good.
Love it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, no, hardly anyone else is interested in even getting involved in going to the DC jail themselves. Now, here's the main issue. What we heard.
I'm very interested in making sure that Matt Gaetz ends up in the DC jail. Does that count?
President Trump say is he wants to make sure they're treated fairly.
Correct.
And then he also said if needed, he would pardon them once he's reelected
Yeah, if
president. So
needed.
that's like 2025. These people were charged in 2021. So that would be 4 years
Right.
later. And let's really talk about the worst offense of all.
Yeah, that, by the way, that would mean that they were found, if they needed a pardon, that means they were found guilty, did some time, and the pardon would just, expunge it from their record and make them look artificially innocent.
Is Senator Lindsey Graham attacking President Trump and basically saying, throw those people in jail and throw the book at them. He agrees with Nancy Pelosi. Well, here's the truth for Lindsey Graham. Those people have been thrown at jail, and they have had the book thrown at them, and they haven't even seen.
They've been thrown at jail, and they've had the book thrown at them. What book would that be? Thrown at jail. All right.
Day in court yet. So Lindsey Graham doesn't care about.
Yes, they've all had their day in court. They haven't had their trial yet, and they would all be out if they weren't threatening the lives of the judges or threatening the lives of Congress people, or threatening to spit in the face of guards, or saying that if you let them out, they'd be right back up at the Capitol by tonight and that shit. That's why they're still in jail. Like any other violent criminal who refuses to take any responsibility and declares that they are not only guilty, but they would do it again given half the chance. You're fucking staying in jail, dum-dum.
Process. He doesn't care about a two-tier justice system in America. And clearly Lindsey Graham just doesn't care at all about these people rotting away in jail, even though they're supposed to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. But do you know?
Yeah, but the presumption of innocence is about the prison time you ultimately do. It doesn't mean you get to make bail or bond based on the evidence against you. And if you film yourself committing a fucking crime, you're not going to make bail. Most of the time. A bunch of them have, actually. A vast majority of them have. And they're going to be found guilty and they're going to do 6 months or pay a huge fine or other shit. But they're at home with their families. Oh my God.
Who does care? The American people.
Absolutely.
And the use of the pardon power may be necessary here. I recall
Yeah, I'm just right out of the gate. Everybody else was too boring.
5 eggs in a month.
That's right. We're getting 5 eggs for these. Yep, definitely.
Eat 2 eggs a day.
I like wood.
5 eggs.
All right. So
I had to beat off
5 eggs.
all right, here we go.
discussing the potential for pardons for the January 6th detainees with President
And me, definitely, and people who have been swept up in this illegal persecution by Democrats against innocent child sex traffickers everywhere.
in the final days of his presidency. He contemplated pardons at that time for some folks.
Yeah, and he contemplated it, which is the bet. I mean, if you're in jail, I just want you to know he contemplated it. He thought about it. He thought about it. Now, what do you want? You vultures? He thought about it, okay?
He thought might have been inadvertently drawn into criminal conduct without even knowing so, because barricades had been taken down, because fencing had been removed.
Yeah, I mean, there was no fence between them and curb stomping a cop or trampling one of their own to death. There was no barrier between them bashing their way in through a window. Like I climbed in through a busted window. How was I supposed to know that's not just how you get in through the Capitol? I'm a tourist.
Time, I think he decided against it because we didn't see great particularity.
And those of you that are asking, he looks like Butthead. I'm old. Come to
with the
Butthead.
Department of Justice's conduct. If we would have known then what we know now, that the DOJ wouldn't answer basic questions about charges, about access to counsel.
Hey, asshole. They're using you and Marjorie Taylor Greene as their defense. Stay out of the fucking jail, dum-dum. That's why. You can't go visit people that are seen as co-conspirators with you. You're on the list of people who might have been in contact with some of these assholes coordinating their attack, who'd brought weapons to the Capitol, who intended to hang the vice president and kill Nancy Pelosi and any number of other Democrats and Republicans that they saw as insufficiently loyal to Trump. That's why you can't go fucking see him. That's why they're not giving you information, because you're on the hook too, dum-dum. Fucking hell.
Members of Congress, I'm on the Judiciary Committee. We went to the DOJ seeking a meeting with the Attorney General, and he wouldn't even...
And they went, fuck off. Their lawyers are citing you as a reason why they thought they had the right to be there.
The discussion with us when asked questions about the risk that federal...
Yeah, we only had a couple of questions. One is, do all of them have my number or just the most violent ones? Also, can I get a look at their phone? I promise not to erase anything. I just need a couple of moments alone with it.
Assets or informants might have increased the acuity of criminal conduct on that day. He also demurred, wouldn't answer questions. And if we'd have known then what we know now, I bet President Trump would have issued pardons in the final days of his...
What did he not know then? I mean, he stood there in the fucking garden. We love you. You're very special. Remember this day forever. But now we got to have peace. So we love you. if you get arrested, you're fucked. I'm not doing anything. But I love you, and I will consider giving you a pardon if I can overturn the election in a couple of years. But I love you, and we need to have peace. Unless you're really close to Mike Pence and he's within... No, he's not. We love you.
First term.
Of his first term. Let's not forget the FBI also in front.
The phrase is only term.
Senate hearings refused to answer the question as to whether or not they had assets or agents undercover on January 6th. So many questions unanswered. I actually said on my show on Monday, it's time for Lindsey Graham to cross the aisle. He's no longer Republican. He's a Democrat.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. If Lindsey Graham is now a Democrat, bring him over, have him vote 90% of the time with us, because that's what the qualification is, and which means that anybody else who voted for the infrastructure bill, for example, would be arguably far to the left of Lindsey Graham on the political spectrum, and therefore they automatically become Democrats, and we have 62 votes in the majority, and we don't even need all of our votes to beat a filibuster. So cool. Fine. Shit.
I've been informed he's the person who told President Trump that Morgan Ortegas should run in Tennessee's 5th Congressional District, despite the fact that we have a 101% MAGA candidate there, Robbie Starbuck. So let's jump.
Oh, do we?
Been right there on this issue. What is the challenge for the midterms, Congressman Gaetz?
Yeah.
We're looking here at the question every day to America First of vetting the right candidates, primarying people when necessary. You also have a plan for what happens after we win the role of...
That's right. Yes. Go attack some... This is your great strategy. Go attack some Republicans in newly drawn districts that are more purple than they were red. Run somebody as right-wing and crazy as possible, so that off the rails, MTG in a suit, go for it, and then let me know how that works out.
The various committees. So how much do we have to do differently in the next 9 months?
Well, the problem with these establishment-owned candidates is that sometimes they look just like the rest of us. You know, sometimes they have...
They're indistinguishable. And the important thing, no, don't get me wrong, we only want candidates that look like the rest of us. We don't want them to look too different, if you know what I mean. They should look vaguely like me, sometimes like Marge, not that often, mainly like me, and...
the right packaging, the right slogans and themes, and then they come to the swamp and they sell out. So for Marjorie and I, it's not about select.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you got to pick somebody who's unassailable, who's already, that you guys have that's what you need. You need someone you can blackmail. Do preemptive blackmailing. That's a great idea.
Personalities. It's about laying out a vision for Republican control of the House of Representatives and then drawing people to that vision. The most robust oversight work that has occurred in the 117th Congress has been Congresswoman Greene's lead of a review of what's happening at that D.C. jail. She wrote a report about it, and it ought to be a guidepost for us moving forward.
Oh my God. She did? She wrote a report? Is it anywhere I can look at it? Because I'm sure it's a great read. Does it have stick figures? Love the Witcher's hairstyle.
She did that without even being on a committee. So what we want to do now is we want to take these committees.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can do work without being on a committee. You can even draft bills that help the American people. I mean, why would you, though?
And peel them away from the lobbyists on K Street and the political action committees and actually turn them into fighting...
Yeah, all the people that aren't giving us money
for dogged, fair oversight.
What would that look like? Because right now, as far as I see, the old stands that when we're in opposition, we act like opposition, and when we're in majority, we act like we're in minority still.
Right, but
how does
fairness,
it change?
By the way, this is Republicans talking about Republicans. I want you to remember this. Remember how everybody's like, I don't know, the Republicans, their messaging is so perfect. The Democrats are always like herding cats and da-da-da-da. Listen how this asshole is talking about Republicans, and they're all in agreement about this. They all agree. It's fucking awesome.
Does it change?
Well, I think for everyone listening and watching, they may not understand how the committees work. So let's explain.
Well, yeah, and I think the perfect person to ask about how the committees work are two people serving in Congress who aren't on any committees. Everybody get out your notebooks. We're going to need to take notes.
Real quick, and I didn't know this until I got there too. What I found out is the committees, the ranking members, those members of Congress, Republicans or Democrats, who are in charge of the committees, it's very different for both conferences. If it's the Democrat Party, they put their strongest, most idealistic, strongest Democrat progressive members to be in the top positions of their committees. We don't do it that way in the Republican conference. Nope. We have our most moderate, most weak, most center-line establishment Republicans as ranking members, and they become chairmen of these committees when we're in charge. They
I see. I was confused for a second. You mean the Republicans who have been there more than one term and keep getting reelected, the people with seniority because the voters have trusted them more than one cycle? You mean that? Jesus Christ.
We call them majority makers because they're the ones that the NRCC and different groups spend a lot of money making sure they hold their seats. We're doing it wrong.
So it's about being safe and staying in power. Is that right?
Well, and it is also about allowing the lobbyists and special interests to select the people who oversee their area of influence. It's K Street who picks who's on these committees. It's how much lobbyist money you're able to launder back to the party bosses.
By the way, they're not talking about how Democrats pick. According to them, Democrats pick people on committees based on their ideological strength and their actual decision, like alignment with party values and plans. They're talking about how Republicans end up on this. That it's all K Street kickbacks. It's all bullshit. This is great. Like, please continue. Knock yourself out.
The leadership that determine whether or not you move up on those committees. And seniority plays a way outsized role in this. I mean, in America today, can you imagine a single business working by saying the person that's going to make the most decisions is simply the person who's been here the longest?
Wait.
Well, yeah, kinda. Especially if they've worked their way up through the company, fucko. Yeah, real good organizations are run by first-term assholes who've been there for 2 years, decide they know how everything's run, and think they should run the joint. The fuck are you talking about? That's amazing. And again, now you wonder why they're anti-union. But like, this is gorgeous. This is fantastic.
So, though, it was Nicole Maliotakis, freshman member of Congress. She hadn't been there any longer than me. That's the deputy whip. And then she voted yes with the Democrats for the infrastructure bill.
You know, all these titles, deputy whip.
I don't even know. Do you even know? I'm not even sure I want. I think I'd rather be in jail on sex trafficking charges at this point. You know what I mean? High five.
They're like the homecoming court. Very important to the people running and like almost totally insignificant to everyone else. But if...
no, unless you want to pass bills. Of course, we now know the Republican Party is not interested in actual governance. So they just want to act as a stop, you know, as a bulwark, as a wall. Walls work. Look, holy shit.
You have the oversight first vision. Then that is going to require elevating some of our younger, more dynamic, newer to the Congress voices.
Elevate?
Yeah, newer to the Congress. You know, people who haven't proven that the voters will keep them in office. Give them an outsized decision-making point after they've won one election. When you have an election every 2 fucking years in this job. Imagine if you joined a company, to use his analogy, and every 2 years, if you hadn't been employee of the month, they fired you. But you insisted that the only way you were going to become employee of the month is if you made decisions about the shape of the company entirely. That you guide the company. Even though you don't even know how to fucking work the fryer yet. But you'll be in charge.
It's because it's the people in the establishment who get to do the elevating, man. So give us the roadmap.
You mean the people who've actually gotten elected multiple times, raised money for the party, gave a fuck, haven't in their first fucking term gotten busted for sex trafficking, aren't looking down the barrel of a sex trafficking and doping and having sex with an underage girl, then maybe they have seniority just because they dodged just that alone. Much less that they actually wrote a bill or something over time or have been part of the structure of forming stuff like Katie Porter and others where they get put on committees because they actually helped draft a lot of the legal parts of it just by fucking reading a goddamn book, maybe, as opposed to writing a report on January 6th's jail. Good Lord.
How do you change the system so drastically that
Yes, and it is very telling, by the way, that Matt Gaetz is interested in more younger people coming in.
is actually done when we're in the majority?
Well, let's look at what our enemies have done. Let's look at what the squad did.
Yeah.
There were only 4 of them, and then they went and infected the entire Democratic caucus, and now they all kind of look like the squad over there. And so we don't.
Oh yeah, is that why Build Back Better just passed without it just got through with it? It didn't take any finagling at all. Oh wait. Oh, thanks.
A majority
Templeton.
of the majority.
Yeah. By the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. I watch these whole clips so that you don't have to, and alone, anyways. And we go through it piece by piece, bit by bit, and joke and take some of the fear out of this because, quite frankly, you have nothing to worry about with these 2 assholes, these 3 assholes. I don't know. It's just a pile of assholes over there. But you have nothing to fear from any of these idiots. Nothing.
But I think if we got folks, like a Robbie Starbuck, like a Bo Hines in North Carolina, like an Anthony Sabatini in Florida, like a Joe Kent in the state of Washington.
Like the people who can't get elected. If we could get the people who can't get elected, then they could join us in being one-termers as well.
If we got those folks there, we could be a rudder for the entire conference, and we could say this isn't about just figuring out what areas we can work with the lobbyists and the Democrats to pass some, Mother's Day resolutions that Joe Biden's going to sign. Instead, this is about looking at every agency, looking at every bad decision.
Yeah, this is not about doing anything we can get actually put into law. This is about showboating and wasting everyone's time, for the taxpayer.
And then connecting those corrupt acts to the fears and the challenges and the frustrations of our people. And by the way, we should start with what they're doing to gun owners right now. Marjorie and I have been hearing a lot about what the ATF's been.
We're going to talk about that. The news that was breaking, I think, on Tuesday, late Monday night. We're talking to Congressman Matt Gaetz, Florida's 1st District.
That's right.
And then
they are trying to take your God-given right to have a ghost gun. We call them Holy Ghost guns. Jesus, take the wheel. I'm shooting out the window.
14. Yep.
They can follow you, Rep Matt Gaetz, on Twitter. Where can they follow you, Marjorie?
Oh, I am not on Twitter, thankfully.
Yes.
I'm actually a happier person now.
And yes, she is. She doesn't have a personal account anymore.
All the other social
All the
media.
other platforms, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rep MTG.
Yes,
okay,
make sure
guys.
look for the verified accounts.
God willing, we're going to make.
Yeah, look for the verified accounts on Getter. You don't want to get caught in a Telegram account with somebody pretending to be MTG and pretending to be Sidney Powell. That's a swingers party nobody wants to fall through the skylight of.
They have come in studio literally from the airport in one case. We want to make this a regular occurrence. Spread the word. This is going to be, as much as we can, a weekly occurrence with Congressman Gaetz, with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you enjoy this as much as we enjoy making it, spread the word. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. For the time.
No.
We are on Spotify. Look for my name, Sebastian Gorka, America First, and you will never miss a moment.
Wait a minute.
Likewise, Congressman Gaetz has hit.
Look how long this fucking thing is. I'm not doing all this shit. They're not that interesting. Hold on, let's scoot ahead. There you go.
Up on my Instagram feed, I think it was a farmer who won your 50 caliber Barrett gun prize. You're a massive proponent of the Second Amendment.
A Barrett? An Amy Coney Barrett gun?
Congressman Gaetz mentioned, as we are prepping in the green room, the latest news about the ATF. How endangered are our Second Amendment rights right now?
Terrible.
Greatly.
Greatly. So they don't, apparently, they have something against toddlers having ghost guns with 60-round circular magazines that can convert a Glock into full auto. I don't know. Do we live in communist China?
Had their way, they would completely abolish our Second Amendment. But I think we should abolish the ATF. Matt Gaetz and I both do. But here's the real.
Well, yeah, because without them, we never would have caught the Unabomber or Timothy McVeigh. So I can see why you'd want people like that running around.
Issue, what they're trying to do is putting these gun owners on list, and then making things like silencers, which what a silencer does, it really protects your hearing.
Correct.
Taking away.
Yeah, that's right. Because when you're murdering someone that you're stalking, you don't want to lose any hearing for that or whatever. Like, what if you want to go to a concert afterwards and like, oh my God, I wish I could enjoy this more. My ears are still ringing from when I shot my ex.
Stabilizer braces that are easier for handicapped people, or say grandmothers that need to be able to defend themselves if their husbands
Wounded
passed away.
veterans,
Wounded veterans,
right.
Yes, but this is clearly a very big danger for gun owners.
Wait, hang on. What part of it? The silencers?
Gaetz and I both do. But here's the real issue. What they're trying to do is putting these gun owners on list, and then making things like silencers, which what a silencer does, it really protects your hearing.
Correct.
Taking away stabilizer braces that are easier for handicapped people, or say grandmothers that need to be able to defend themselves if their husbands
Wounded
pass away.
veterans.
Yeah, you can't freehand an Uzi at 85. You need a shoulder brace for that thing, so when you're screaming, "Get on the fucking floor! We're the Golden Girls. Nobody move, and you won't get hurt." Then you end up having to through somebody. You don't miss because your wrist is shit, and then you osteoporosis, and you get a good brace in there. By the way, all those things you could get a special adaptation for, and silencer to protect your hearing. Wear ear coverings. What the fuck are you talking about?
Wounded veterans,
right.
Yes, but this is clearly a very big danger for gun owners, and they're angry about it.
Yes, they're so upset you can't have a silencer and a shoulder brace for a Glock fully automatic.
We saw the news that a completely legal type of trigger for AR-15s were being confiscated illegally by ATF agents.
Oh, hold on. Let's see. AR-15 mod, confiscated ATF, something like that. Let's see. News, probably the newest thing. Ghost guns, to ban assault weapons. Georgia man accused of selling 2 dozen guns, cocaine. Sues ghost gun maker Polymer 80. Biden nominated gun controllers. Solely legal. Oh, yeah. Here you go. There's a bunch of things. He sold illegal AR-15s. Feds agreed to let him go free. Avoid hurting gun control efforts. Armed dangerous, how it retrieves guns from people who are crazy. California man sold illegal AR-15s. Fed agreed to let him go to avoid hurting gun control efforts. Ghost Gun Company got $400K government bailout, ending the growing threat of homemade guns. 21 guns seized over 7 days. Utah woman sentenced for selling weapons to Mexican cartel. That's adorable. Watermelon man arrested for allegedly misleading stores during, 40 calories found in his pickup. Okay, he wasn't supposed to have one. Continues to prove it. Oh, the federal government proves it can't be trusted, especially when you want to use a laptop from 2001. Shockwave hood, brace and determine. Pistol model to improve functionality and reliability. This is the brace, yeah. Debate over gun violence. There you go. And let's see. Results collection, constellation of weak laws, lack of resources, dearth of political support, blah, blah, blah. Report discusses gaps increasing oversight of gun manufacturers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I can't find the article. It's probably only on like NRAalert.com.
When we are in minority...
Forced reset triggers? Okay, thank you. Hold on. Rare breed triggers defies. Here it is. Rare breed triggers defies cease and desist letter. Bureau of Evidence looking to ban yet another firearm accessory. This time the agency has set its sights on Orlando based rare breed triggers. The manufacturer of a drop-in AR-15 trigger. The FR-15 forced reset trigger increases the speed at which a shooter can fire a semi-automatic firearm. Says this firearm makes it a machine gun by a legal definition, and that the trigger should be therefore heavily restricted. Delivered cease and desist. Yeah, okay. So this is the video of that.
The FRT in the trigger name stands for Forced Reset Trigger, and it does exactly that. It forces a reset of the trigger with every shot, so that you have to pull the trigger again in order to fire a round. It's a true semi-automatic trigger. On normal AR triggers, there's no reset until you release the trigger. The FRT-15 is built in such a way that the trigger is locked until the bolt carrier group returns forward, at which point it trips the sear and forces the trigger into a reset, whether you want it to reset.
So basically, you could just flick. You don't have to pull the trigger with a full extension of your finger, making it fast. Yeah.
So as long as you continue to apply pressure on the trigger, you can continue shooting after each reset. In short, Rare Breed has invented a bump trigger. And it's a beautiful...
Oh, all right. It's a fucking bump stock in a trigger format. You don't even have to pull it. You just hold it shut, and it will automatically assume the... Oh, for fuck's sake. It is automatic under that, dummy.
All right, so kicking and screaming. He said to burn the 40-rounder. I don't think I really want to. Do it. Yeah. You talked me into it.
Now here's the problem with the FRT-15 trigger. You have to get used to it. When you fire thousands of rounds with a normal or even a binary trigger, your finger wants to release the trigger every time. But that's not how you work the FRT-15. You need to apply backward pressure continually, otherwise you might as well just be using a normal trigger. Poor Pat here burned...
Right. Yes, it's a bump trigger. It's a bump stock in a trigger format. Fuck you. Of course it's an auto... Jesus Christ. It's the same reason. It's the same thing they're doing with like this thing. Hold on, let me show. I've shown you guys this before. The full auto Glock. This fucking thing. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there you go. This guy actually got.
Okay, I got it.
When they were fucking around with this thing, the dude got an ejected shell stuck in his shoulder because it fired so fast. So they fire these things and they shoot some other stuff. Yeah, here it is. This is what MTG and those guys think should be legal. There you go.
There's something in there. Yeah, you want to cut it out?
Yeah, there you go. I can't believe they don't want that to be legal on the streets of America. Why wouldn't you? I mean, what happens if you're being chased by 6 cops? Play stupid.
Is there anything we can do about this to stop the ATF just
no.
stormtrooping across dealerships and taking private property?
Oh, but there's a deep state at the ATF too. We've known that.
Yeah. I mean, how do we stop that? Look, that bathtub full of fentanyl tablets stamped with a Valium logo is my private property. Just because what's this? Why is there anything we can do to stop the DEA from storming into Matt Gaetz's house and seizing child pornography if they find it? I mean, it's his private property. I mean, this is don't they believe in private
for quite some time,
rights?
And whether we're in the majority or the minority, we have an obligation to go out and vindicate and restore rights that are being trampled on by any entity.
You don't have the right to have an automatic. You don't have the right to have a fucking machine gun. Asked and answered. Settled law. Piss off.
Government. What's most concerning to me is that the strategy and tactics of the ATF now lean heavily into list building, into creating an opportunity to know exactly who they're going to go after. And while they're list building, they're growing their power. They're becoming more intrusive. They're becoming a lot more.
Yeah, they're making a list of all the people who have sex trafficked a minor, let's say, and at some point,
curious and more nosy. And so I think that we have to see this endeavor for what it is. The first step to disarm the
FBI,
lawful citizenry of this country.
As happened in Australia, as happened in Venezuela 9 years.
That's right. I mean, look at those two places. They're basically indistinguishable. I mean, honestly, the Australians would have killed hundreds of each other by now if they hadn't.
It's always a precursor, is it not?
Absolutely. And look, when we read.
Yes, oftentimes it's a precursor to a peaceful society. You notice they never bring up the states that never had a Second Amendment and don't have any of the gun violence we do, don't have the number of guns. They never bring, like, the Scandinavian countries up. They never bring up, like, the UK as far as gun deaths or any of that stuff. It's the first thing. Next thing you know, you've got a monarchy. Dude's from England.
Power. We have to put a bright light on this because it is illegal, but so often regular folks.
Yes, two dim bulbs shedding a bright light on America's rights.
Don't feel like they have the power to go fight the ATF, to go fight the federal government, and so as their representative.
Well, no. You can legally do it. You can file lawsuits. You can follow through with it. There's advocacy groups around you, NGOs, including the NRA, that will help you do it if you want to. But no, you don't get to open fire on the fucking ATF.
We have to take on those battles for them. We have to expose this, and we have to hold those public hearings and grill these folks and shame them away from this illegal conduct.
So walk us both through.
And it's not illegal at all. Fuck off.
You are fighting on Capitol Hill every single day. It's tough for those who are outside the swamp to understand the minutiae, the procedures. Talk to us about the power you...
like you're fighting every day. None of it actually shows up in your actual fucking job. It's mostly weird little press gaggles and showing up on here. But you're fighting every day. You're not... writing any bills or constructing anything or actually doing anything of any material value for a single taxpayer. But in many ways...
have or would have if you were running the committees and what real oversight would look like.
Well, I mean, let's take the Education Committee, for example. Marjorie was originally put on that committee. They didn't want her there. Who knows?
Because it was too ironic. It actually pegged the irony meter.
She may end up there. She may end up somewhere else. But the Education Committee could look at the Biden Center at the University of Pennsylvania, an organization that illegally took tons of anonymous Chinese Communist Party linked money. And then they took that money and then they hired the folks that ended up in the Biden White House and gave them a place to get paid and to get influenced by these outside influences. That's a very different approach to how...
Then how did we end up with the AUKUS agreement and a diplomatic boycott of China and a reshoring of all of our factories from there and a directive by the administration for American companies to start heading for the exit? Honest to God, if they're bought by the Chinese government, that's fucking one thing. But they're not doing anything that looks like they were bought. Meanwhile, Trump got us out of TPP, which was meant to stop China. $17 million shows up magically in his little bank account there, and he takes $15 million out in cash the next day. And all of a sudden, we're dicking around while COVID's crawling across the country going, it's nothing. It's not a big deal. We just have to finish this trade deal, which benefits China more than it does us. But we did it. All right. Fucking hell.
People might use the Education Committee. I would use it to expose every corrupt education official pushing critical race theory in any district of America where we found it. And I would start to call into question federal funds to entities that are going to teach children to hate each other because of the color of their skin. So that's an example. Marjorie, I know there's a lot of...
Yeah, it's a great example. And again, Benghazi level waste of money.
I get you on the Small Business Committee, but even in like the SBA loans now, we're seeing racial preference. We're seeing things that harm...
and by the way, it's called the Itty Bitty Business Committee. I'm just saying.
Divide Americans.
Well, yeah, and then back to the education committee. I mean, something we really should be doing is stopping the communist teachers union bosses that are completely.
Yeah, sure. Fucking hell. The communist teachers union bosses. Oh God. All right, I went a half hour over with these idiots today, and to no avail. This is a strategy session. They did this for 40 fucking minutes.